Welcome to the Self Storage Show, where I have conversations with my industry friends, talk with owners and vendors, and share tales about my management company, 3 Mile Storage. Let's go. Hi, everyone. This is Jim Ross from the Self Storage Show. Got another episode coming at you here with recurring guests. I've kind of lost count how many times we've talked now, but got Jim Mooney Jr. with me. How's it going, Jim?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, we've had several of these things. I always enjoy them. It's great to have conversations with people that have been around the block a couple times, and you and I have similar backgrounds on where we started, so it's kind of cool.
That's fun. We just sit back and just have a conversation. I mean, being recurring, I can have like a little like a punch card or something like that. Give you like a free Subway sandwich or something like that. I can give away. I gotta think of something like that. Anyway, we're always kind of sit around and we talk about what's new and things like that. And you mentioned the topic you want to talk about, which I think is kind of perfect, is kind of like, I don't know, maybe getting back to the basics, and this is back to normal kind of a thing, it feels like. So anyway, I'll let you kind of talk and we'll go back and forth here. Go ahead.
I mean, even like last week, I mean, we saw what was record attendance at the SSA conference 2 weeks ago, and talking to some owners, and they're all kind of getting a little, but depending if we're in a recession, coming recession, whatever it is, and people are panicking that, I met one owner, he's only been in the business about 2 years.
Yeah.
And he's freaking out because he's 92% occupied where he was 99% occupied. And he thinks the sky's falling down around. I'm like, relax. I said, if you look at data, and anybody knows me knows I'm a data guy, right? Data is 2023 is kind of trending 2019 occupancy before all COVID hit and stuff like that. So we're going into fourth quarters again. Everything's coming back down. We're seeing decreases in occupancy in August, September, October. I know we're going to, but that's historical trends.
That's seasonal. Yeah. Yep.
And, for the last couple of years, we had stellar growth, and it was really just climbing and climbing and climbing. And we were, we didn't have to work as hard with rentals because, know what? The next person's going to take it. I got one unit. Somebody's going to grab it. Now we're back to, less inquiries, less traffic on the websites, less phone calls. And the ones we're getting, we have to actually work and do our jobs to follow up with them to get them in. I just did a consulting job, and I randomly called 7 stores in that market, and not one of them asked my name, not one of them asked my number, not one. And I'm like, I talked to them, I said, you have a golden opportunity here if your managers do the basics, what you and I consider basic day-to-day processes to get that. But the days of being 99% occupied are gone. And realistically, Jim, you and I talked about this before, I never want to be 99% occupied.
Exactly. Yeah. You're leaving money on the table if you're doing that.
85, 88 now. It's like 90, 91, 92, somewhere in that area, depending on the size of the property. But you want to have some vacancies. And I still think looking at, even if the occupancy numbers are similar to 2019, the revenue numbers are going to be higher because of all the rate increases and the price pushing. We're starting to see prices come back down.
Yep.
Across the board. And I would rather do a longer term move-in concession and keep my standard rate higher than really drop my standard rate. But it has negative effects across everybody. And I think right now that people need to realize that, that gravy train we rode for 2 years, 2.5 years?
Yep.
Is done. And, listening to the economists and at the SSA Summit, people are now not right now moving because prices are up, interest rates are high. So people are holding on the move. So if they're not moving, they're not putting their stuff in storage. It has a trickle-down effect on us. So I think, we need to realize that, the sky's not falling. Storage is still one of the best industries to be in. And we just need to get back to basics and do what we should be doing every day to ensure we're running our properties as effectively as possible.
Yeah, it's effectively and efficiently. And I always say that the last couple of years, it's kind of masked a lot of inefficiencies. I mean, you could kind of do no wrong. You could have ho-hum customer service and you maybe not answer every single phone call, and your marketing might not be the best, but you'd still be kicking butt. You'd still be doing great.
Yeah. I did a call about a year and a half ago, well, I forget now. I've lost track of time.
Yeah.
And I sat down with an owner, and he was 100% occupied, and he was ecstatic. And I said, "You're losing like $6,000-7,000 a month." He goes, "No, I'm full." He didn't understand the economic part of it.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
great to be physically occupied, but when there was it was a $8,000 swing in economic numbers monthly.
Wow.
And that's
Yeah.
on top of not, doing insurance protection plans, not charging an admin fee, not selling locks, all those things. I'm actually doing a presentation. I have a roundtable coming up in Texas, and
Oh
we're
yeah.
going to talk about, how much income can you drive with certain. I'm only going to focus on three. I'm going to focus on admin fees, locks, and protection plan / insurance. And that number, I mean, most people say that's 2, 3, 4% of your income. It could be a lot. It should be a lot higher than that
Yeah.
if you're doing it right.
If you're doing it right, like I said, it's kind of the 80-20 rule. You're going to make 80% of your money from that anyway. So focus on those and get it dialed in.
Yeah.
Like we're saying, we're kind of back to the basics of you should have been doing that all along, frankly. But now I think when it's time's a little bit tighter and you're not getting as many phone calls as you were in the past, people owners are going to start looking at that kind of stuff and really starting to figure out, okay, what do I need to how can I dial this in? What do I need to do? What are the steps I need to do to focus on to boost my revenue? And that's the perfect three things to focus on.
One of the things I talk about, I just was doing a consulting job the other day, and I recommended Dan Cosgrove from Mercantile Systems for his mystery shopping company. It is amazing what you pick up when you have your stores mystery shopped.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, back in the day, my last company, if I did a mystery shop and it wasn't logged into the software, it was an automatic zero.
Wow.
Well, think about that, Jim. How much does one inquiry, how much could one inquiry lead to your property?
No, it's thousands of dollars lifetime value.
So if you miss 3 inquiries a month, 3 rentals a month,
yep.
They're $3,000 plus. Multiply by 12 and do a 5 or 6 cap on that thing.
Yeah,
it's value.
But again, how many owners? And again, as we're talking about this, take this in the spirit of we're just bringing things up that you need to be focusing on. we're not like crapping on you, okay? Things you can be focused on.
Yeah.
But how many owners can truly say they know how many calls they got, how many calls that they returned, what are their conversions rate? They don't know that.
No.
And that's kind
of. I just had that conversation at the meeting this week, and there are some bigger companies out there that don't necessarily pull the reports the way I do them and look at them. But and it's funny because we were talking one day about pricing, and a simple one. I had to explain to somebody how to read a management summary out of SiteLink, and I was showing them where the data is coming from to build that report.
Mm-hmm.
And like the occupancy statistics report, we looked at their one store, and they had 2 lines that were glaring inefficiencies.
Oh no!
They didn't realize that number rolls up there, so we showed them how to back dial down to looking at it, and it was like they were 100% occupied, and their physical was 100%, their economic was 86.5%. I said, how many inquiries have you had on that size unit in the last 30 days? We don't know.
Yeah.
But showing, and that's one thing I've really enjoyed lately is doing more consulting, is showing people how to read the reports, where to find the reports, and then more importantly, what to do with the data.
Yep. It's about interpreting the data, knowing what to do with the data, but like we just said, how to put the right information in to extrapolate the right data. And it comes down to, I would love to start doing, maybe all right, there's a side thing we can start doing. I always wanted to be like, okay, here's your software. Here's how to actually use your software correctly. And that's one of those kind of back to basics like we were talking about too, is just really being efficient and functional with your storage software. It's right there. And I think
it's the software, Jim, it's the website. I mean, I was talking to a gentleman in Vegas, and he was freaking out about his rates because he wasn't getting any activity. And we talked to a store manager, and she goes, "Yeah, walking people are great." I said, "So the problem was I did an incognito search for their online for them." 17th on Google.
Yep.
The problem is, it's not your prices. Nobody can find you.
Find you. I not to get off on too much of a tangent, but I've been doing these citation reports for owners, and it just comes, they're calling, doing like a marketing audit, and first off, I tell them, well, let's run a citations report. You know what a citation is? And the answer is always no.
No, of course not.
Like, well, that's just your name, address, phone number. This is the foundation that you need to build everything else upon. So let's just run a report and see how it looks. And every single time it just comes back horrendous. I'm like, well, no wonder your SEO is kind of struggling. You don't have the foundation built correctly. But that just comes down to education, I think, too, and kind of knowing what to ask.
How many people know their GVP page claimed?
Don't get me started. Yeah.
One of the other questions I like, you and I talked before, is I like to have a tracking number on my website, phone number, to see how many calls. Websites are fantastic. They can track, people clicking on links and run a unit, clicking on links to reserve a unit. They can tell you where they came from. But if that person picks up the phone and calls you, you lose everything. I said, for what are tracking numbers? $5 a month, $6. I mean, they're
yeah.
But you can listen to those calls and figure out what's happening with those calls. And I see more people that don't have tracking numbers on their website than do.
Yeah.
And I kind of point the finger back to the website company saying, guys, why aren't you recommending this? Because you're the experts.
I have my conspiracy theories about that, but
probably like mine too. But anyway,
it's true. But that comes down to knowing your data, and that comes down to tracking what your ROI, where the calls are coming from. Again, I know we're going, a lot of different directions, guys. Listen to this, but it's so true. I mean, there's so many aspects that you just need to get dialed in, especially right now, if you're going to be moving forward the next couple of years. Because again, none of us have a crystal ball and know what's going to happen. No. But as of right now, as we're recording this, you got to get everything dialed in, because it's not like it used to be. You need to clamor for every phone call that you get, every rental that you can, and that just comes down to knowing your numbers. Yep.
It was interesting. Somebody said in Vegas, and I forget who it was, and he said that this is not like you're not cold calling anybody. These people are reaching out to you because they have a need. And if you don't help them with their need, they're going to find somebody else who will.
Of course.
So it's not cold calling. It's not doing, but it's just doing the basics. And I love to ask people all the time. It's like, what's one of the first questions you ask when you're talking to somebody? Everybody, their name. Well, yeah, of course, their name. My first question I always train on is, have you ever used storage before? Because we know 50% of the country, or 40, whatever the percentage is right now, still has not used storage. It blows my mind, actually. But everybody's, well, just push them to the website, let them rent the unit. Well, if they don't know what they're looking for, they can't rent the unit the right way without having to transfer or change units or get aggravated. So if they're talking to you on the phone or they're inquiring and you're following up with them, be the storage expert. Ask the right questions, because, Jim, we've all seen it. I want the biggest thing you got. They pull up in a pickup truck. Or I need the smallest thing. They pull up with a 24-foot U-Haul on a Saturday afternoon. They don't know.
Yep, we've seen that. That comes down to, obviously it's a whole other thing when it comes to, call centers, or with your manager answering the phone calls and what the presentation's like and having that flow. We do probably 5 podcasts just on that subject alone, frankly. Something I like to talk to you about is, obviously listen to your calls. The only way you can listen to your phone calls if you have the tracking number, and going back to what we were talking about before and tracking that data. You get so much value out of just tracking the customer journey, starting with the phone call, going with the rental, going through what the steps are when they're actually using your product and using your service, and what it looks like in the software. That leads to, the revenue management portions, all that kind of stuff. And of course,
more reviews with your business.
Yeah. So you just kind of have that mindset of just the customer journey, and you start kind of filling in those gaps. That helps out a lot. Frankly, I've been asking those right questions of what you need to do for, again, going back to data and getting back to basics.
But you were in Vegas just like I was, and I'm sure you saw. We all heard the same thing. Traffic's down,
Oh yeah.
occupancy's down. So it's not new to. It's not one sector of the country. It's not one company. It's across the board. If you talk to the website guys and Google guys, traffic. What is it? I forget what they said. Traffic was down 22%. Was it?
Something like that. It's dramatic. It's dramatic.
It is, and that's why we need to make sure that remind everybody the sky's not falling. Get everybody focused. The problem is you have people who have gotten in this industry in the last 2-3 years that don't know any different.
Yeah.
That have only seen the really high highs, and now we're back to good. And somebody just said the other day, storage used to be great. Storage is good. Still good.
Still good. It's just kind of normalizing. This is old hat to you and I. I mean, this is
Well, we were both around through 08 recessions, right? And we were there for that.
Yep. Yeah.
And in my opinion, I don't think it's really anything like 08 as far as the store changing hands and a lot of going in that route. Fires are down, all that stuff. But I mean, I think you'll see some of that coming in the next couple of years where people have bought high and they're not going to be able to perform like they should.
Yeah, I got some brokers or investors that are coming on this show. We're talking about exactly that kind of stuff. So get ready. But yeah, again, we've touched on a lot here, guys. If nothing else, I just want you to start thinking of just kind of going through your own facility and going through your own operations and just being like, all right, what can we dial in to become a little more efficient? And that's your bread and butter. I know that, Jim. So go ahead.
That's where I really feel that mystery shopping, getting an independent third party, there's several of them out there. I mean, Carol Colonel's got one, Dan Cosgrove's got one, but having an independent shop of your property to see, because we all think our managers do the best job ever, but sometimes you need to look at it through another person's eyes to see what it looks like. And when they can record the call or they record the in-person visit, I mean, they can even do video cameras on the in-person visits, and you can really see what they're doing, and you can hear them on the phone. For me, it's a training tool. It always has been. I've never used it as a stick. It's an opportunity for improvement. What can we do here? And some of them, like I said, I know Dan has great analytics behind him. You can actually, if you have shops done quarterly, you can actually see trends over the shops and where they're struggling. This is where we need to focus on. And the biggest ones are grabbing a name, grabbing a number, and calling the person back.
You can't get much more basic than that, but that's what we're talking about. Back to the basics. Figure it out. Well, yeah, we could talk forever. I want to be mindful of your time too, and we'll do it again. I know you're always game for doing that, so we'll do some more future episodes. But for those who are listening, they want to get more information or get in touch with you. How do they find you?
I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. My email address is out there, jmooney@freedomstoragemanagements.com. And we probably should have shortened that when we did it because it's really long to type, but it is. I'm on LinkedIn. I mean, I'm all over the associations. I'm the vice president of the Pennsylvania Association right now. I'm active in all the groups. We're all over the place. So you can find me, Jim. Anybody reaches out to you, feel free to share my contact information, with the consulting and whatever we do. The thing I love about our industry, we just said it this week, is we all help each other. We all learn from each other. We figure out who's doing what, and they can take it back. Maybe tweak what you're doing a little bit, massage what I'm doing a little bit. What works, because I had an old boss years ago who always told me people respect what you inspect.
Yep.
And that's the truth.
Again, we're all trying to improve ourselves and get a little bit better, 1% improvement kind of thing. And people that are listening to the show, I mean, you're not listening to the show for kicks and giggles. You're here to try to learn and grow and get better. And selfishly, that's why I started this show, frankly, is because it gives me a chance opportunity to talk to people that are doing this day in and day out. And we all learn from each other. So it's kind of it's nice having this platform to bring it back and have others listen to it. And hopefully, I mean, take action on what we're talking about, because that's the whole point.
Well, I do have to thank you for hosting this show and putting all your efforts to this thing. And because of people like you, people like you and I can have conversations. But thank you for what you do, because it really helps a lot of people out there. So I appreciate it. Anytime you want me on, I love to talk storage, so it's fun.
I'll take you up on it. All right. You have a good one, Jim. I'll talk to you later. See ya. Before we wrap up, just a quick reminder. Do you want to level up your storage game? Visit theselfstorage.show.com. Grab some high-value freebies, check out top vendor spotlights, and stay in the loop with our newsletter. Do you want to chat about becoming a client with 3 Mile Storage Management? All the info's there. Plus, if you've got a story to share, we're listening. Everything you need is at theselfstorageshow.com.